welcome to Be Golden in this golden hour. I am your host, Eva Jenkins, and I welcome you to Women TV. So excited for you to join me. Well, if you have listened to my other episodes at all, you would know that I am talking a lot about the mind and about our internal systems and what it is that we think about and our behaviors and what we might do. A lot of times we all want change, especially in the new year, and it can be really difficult to do because we don't necessarily know how to change. And what most people need is clarity. They don't necessarily need motivation. They need to be clear as to what they really want to achieve. And clarity can sometimes be difficult to identify because we might be looking at something that might be more materialistic. We might not really be clear about what we do want. We might not know. And being honest with ourselves is going to be the first step in identifying what clarity is for you. In order to be honest with yourself, you have to ask yourself this question: what do I want and what do I need? Really identifying what your needs are and what your wants are can help determine what trajectory you want to live in your life. Now, many of us really don't think about a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 20-year plan. And if we do, we rarely stick to it because we are constantly changing our minds. And it's hard to stick to something, especially when situations change and we no longer think the same way and things are different in our lives. And it's okay to have that kind of flexibility. All of us have it, all of us need it in order to continue to say that right now things just look different. I know for me and my Mary Kay business, it was learning the foundations of it the first few years. Sometimes you have to learn about something before you really get all into it, or you are not that way. Sometimes you can just right away go out, do it without really knowing, and then you kind of learn along the way. Well, I kind of adapt both personalities, and so I do with whatever it fits for my schedule and what I'm able to do, and learning how to be honest with what I am able to do. And many times people will project what they want and what they think you should do. And so that can be counterintuitive to what's going on with you and what you need in that moment. And if you are not clear as to what motivates you or to what you need or want, other people will make the decision for you. And then we can become really upset as to what's going on in our lives and how can we reel back and do things differently. Sometimes it's a lot harder than to put up boundaries and to confront those issues because of allowing things to go on for so long. I don't know if you can relate, but for me, it makes sense as to, okay, I need to be really clear about what is realistic for me in this year and how things were not working for me in the previous years. And a lot of times it is reevaluating what our goals are. And in order to determine goals, we necessarily cannot know them without knowing our values. So our values really do indicate our priorities in life. Right now, it is for me to pass my drug and alcohol board exam. And so a lot of things have to take the back burner. And it's also doing things that me and my husband are involved in ministry and with my Mary Kay business on the side and even my private practice. And when I think about the things that I'm doing, I have to take the initiative. Do these line with my values? Do these line with who I am or who I want to become to be? And when I think about values, I'm referring to what's important to you. Now, there's actually value cards listed on Google if you were to wanting to dive in more and figure out like what your values are if you have no idea. And values can be accountability, responsibility, it can be family, it can be friends, it can be integrity, honesty, trustworthiness. And being able to ask yourself, why are these values important to me? And what does it mean for me to have these kind of values? And how am I showing it to others? And sometimes it's what we want from others and how they behave to us. But we have to ask ourselves, am I leading myself well? Am I doing the things that I want others to do? And if not, then how can I slow down, reevaluate to what is true, being honest and identifying what we really want to need, and being able to say, what are my next steps, and implementing just that. The more clear we can be in identifying what is important to us, the more we will have motivation to do the things that we are wanting to change and do. So, I know it was a lot in a short amount of time, so I just really want you to be able to process what that means for you. Journaling always helps me to get all my thoughts down on paper. The more we allow ourselves to express ourselves on paper, the more we can create less stress and anxiety in our internal system. And what I mean by that is normally all of our thoughts are in our brains, and it can be very overwhelming to have many thoughts and to not organize them. A lot of times we have a lot of clutter in our brain. And so, therefore, when we journal or just write it down in a notebook or on a piece of paper, it really does help solidify what's going on inside of us instead of holding it all in. And the more we can use this as a daily habit, the more we will be less stressful. Even looking at social media and being on our TVs and televisions, even right now, it can create more anxiety because of our brains constantly scrolling and not being able to process information. And when we allow ourselves to process the information, we are then allowing ourselves to say that I am willing to do something different. I'm willing to manage myself differently. I'm willing to confront what's going on inside of me and identifying the importance of my priorities. Now, everyone's priorities is going to be different. And so, allowing yourself to ask your family members, those who are closest to you, hey, what's important to you? Let's do these value cards, can help you both achieve your goals in a different aspect or learn something about each other that maybe you didn't already know. And nothing's wrong with having a different set of values. Then, maybe even for your family, you can create new set of values of saying, well, what works for both of us? What do we want to work together on? And that in itself creates connectedness and knowing that we are creators by habit and knowing that we can also change and adapt to different styles and behaviors. And change usually comes slowly because of our subconscious mind. Our brain becomes lazy and wants to always go back to what we know. And so, in order to accept change and allow changes to be made, we have to be okay with it being at a slower pace. Unless you want to jump all in, and you can determine that as well. But really knowing yourself, why it is that you're doing what you're doing, can help bring clarity. If there's no clarity, there is a lack of motivation. And so, as we know, this is the beginning of 2023. How can we continue to have motivation for the year? So, even if we need to redefine our clarity of what is important to us, what our values are, what season we are in order to determine what we're willing to do. It's okay for it to be different than your superiors. It's okay to be different than people who have gone ahead of you and different than your family members. We are all on our own race, and no one is competing against each other because everyone's journey is different. There is no two roads that are exactly the same. So, allowing yourself the space that you need in order to do things differently, because you are worth setting your goals and achieving them effectively. So I hope this has helped you today. Please let me know if this is encouraging you and how I can help in order to encourage you a little bit better in order to be your best selves. I look forward to sharing with you next time.